Hey everybody, welcome to the Art of Divination's weekly podcast. And as promised, tonight we're talking about Celtic myths and legends. We're going to touch on gods and goddesses a little bit. So it's going to be a great show for everybody, lots of wonderful information. And it kind of fits because you guys got something special on the order today. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Ken's been lording it all day. My precious kind of doing his own Smeagol. So tonight's the mental health peer-to-peer support group. They meet 6 to 8 p.m. And we have a comment.
Ernie and Crystal both joined.
Well, my thing's saying we have a comment.
No, we don't. It's just saying that Ernie and Crystal joined.
Oh, sorry. I think it's from the reading earlier. I was confused. Yeah, sorry. It's from the one earlier. But hi, Steve. How are you? It's nice to see you join us on the daily. So, anyways.
Crystal said hi.
What?
Crystal said hi.
Hey, Crystal. How are you? Yeah, the mental health peer-to-peer support group meets every Wednesday night in the Plain of Pool Lanes Pharmacy. The Earth Arc Prize Bingo is on the 29th, so I believe that's this weekend.
Yeah.
So it's a great cause. Mm-hmm. That it is. It's going to go, it's a respite center and rescue center for older or unwanted horses and cats too. And as always, you can book your aura and angel readings with Zen and Sarah. Sue, it's EFT, you can get a hold of her through the store or at eftwithsue@gmail.com. And Robin's lovely natal reports, great information. I had mine down. I let you read it for a little bit. Mm-hmm. It was pretty cool, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
The information. Yeah. And our likes and shares, everybody knows we hit our milestones, so we're really excited about that. And Caitlin, she was super excited to win it. She's like, I never win anything. So it was really nice to bring that up to her. On April 28th, there's an African drumming circle at the Nebraska Square. It's a workshop. You can bring your own drums, or there's some there that you can borrow. And I think that's $20. Anyways, I have a flyer up for it in the door, so that's pretty cool. And May 5th, Trish and Stan have kindly invited us back for the May 5th. Did I say 6th?
No,
you said May 5th.
Yeah,
okay.
you said the 5th.
Trish and Stan kindly invited us out again for the Beltane ceremony, and I really enjoy these ceremonies. I don't know, it kind of refreshes my soul. I don't know if it's the grounding, the bonfire, or what. I just really enjoy it.
I think it's just Trish and Stan. They're really nice people.
They are. So we're going to carpool for that. If there's some people needing drives, we have 2 vehicles already in the carpool. If you wanted to go, I know you haven't been to any of their ceremonies yet. It's a wonderful experience. I really enjoy it. So we are going to be carpooling. So if you need a drive, get a hold of us at the store. As I said, there's 2 cars going that I know of. And, we are canceling the workshop for tomorrow night. I didn't have enough confirmations of registrations. So the class size is much smaller than I originally thought it was going to be because people didn't confirm, and I really need that confirmation of registration. So we're going to be holding that here at the store instead for the couple people that did confirm. I apologize to everybody, but I really kind of need to know how many people so I know how much stuff to bring because all the supplies are included in that. And I think we're going to hold off on the community nights and the workshops until the fall because summer's a really busy time of year for everybody. So I think we finally decided that today. Friday nights, people have their own plans. They're vacationing, they're going to the cottage, whatever. So kind of like TV when they put on the crappy summer schedule. We're going to take a break from that until September, and then we'll resume all of those activities again. So, and don't forget, guess your number. Ken picked the number tonight. So guess your number for the free reading between 1 and 50. And we'll be doing that at the end of the podcast. So this one's kind of near and dear to your heart, isn't it, Ken?
Yeah.
I kind of got the idea that you're all about the Celtic with the kilts. The first time you ever messaged me was about Morgan.
Your Scotland and Ireland shirts and your mutton chops.
Yeah, your Celtic music. So this one's kind of your baby, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
It's great research you did.
Thanks.
Good job, Ken.
You want me to
Yeah.
start? Oh, okay. Let's see. I'll start on page 1.
What you talking about tonight?
Just a bunch of different stuff.
And also, hey everybody that joined us, because I think the kids forgot to tell me.
Katie, Nanny, and Sue all joined, but we didn't say hi.
Hey guys, don't
Hey.
forget to get your numbers.
All right. The first one we're doing is Morrigan. Bring up a little. I got this today. So I don't know if that's showing up
Up
good.
a tiny bit further.
Up.
There you go. A little bit down.
Down.
Down a little bit. There you go.
All right.
And that's how you and I first met, asking about anything Morgan related. You don't probably tell people that, do you?
Oh no. She is quite misunderstood in a lot of circles, mainly because she represents war and strife and fate and stuff like that. But she's also a goddess of fertility, patroness of magic and witches, revenge and prophecy. She's been known as the Great Queen, the Queen of Phantoms, and she even presides over rivers.
Angela Scott said hi, Ken.
Hey, Angela.
Hey, mommy.
Hey, Mom,
My
about
mom didn't
TV.
say hi to me. I'm jealous.
Your daughter can say hi to you. Oh, wait.
I said my mom. Ken's mom said hi.
She was also the inspiration of Morgan Le Fay in the legend of King Arthur, who King Arthur himself is actually, I don't want to say ripped, but he's pretty much Finn McCool repackaged.
I'm trying to clear my throat.
Even amongst a lot of ancient Celts, she was kind of feared, but there were still a lot of people who admired her in a lot of ways. She has been known to shapeshift. Of course, her usual form is that of a crow or a raven, as she's most well known for. But she's been known to morph into heifers and a few different other types of animals. She will at times approach young warriors as a young maiden, and she was known to offer them victory in battle. Yeah.
Steve Martin, I think this might know you, says good evening to you both.
Good evening, Steve.
Hey Steve, how are you?
And she will offer him victory in battle if he can please her. Other times she will appear to warriors as an old hag washing clothes in a river. And certain legends state if your clothes are, or the clothes that she's washing resemble the ones that you're wearing, that you are going to die in an upcoming battle.
No wonder people fear her.
Where was I? She does have 2 sisters, and they work sort of like in a trinity kind of thing. Maxa and Bide. I can't ever remember how to pronounce that one.
Oh, Janice is on.
Hey Janice, how are you?
She has been known to have been the mate of Dagda, who was basically like the Celtic version of Odin, but in a lot of the legends surrounding him, he wasn't as warrior-like.
Who's Odin? Norse god, right?
Yeah, the Norse dude.
Oh.
But he was a lot more easier going. And he's been known as the Arch Druid, the High King of the Tuatha De Danann, which is essentially the entire Celtic pantheon of gods. He was also known as the god of death and rebirth. And whilst I was doing some research, I found there's this lady, Stephanie Woodfield. She does a lot of writing. She wrote, I think, 2 books on Morrigan. I think. But she wrote a couple of books, and I took an excerpt from one of them about prose that she wrote about what she felt Morgan and the Dagda's meeting would have gone like.
Janice said hi, Mom.
Hey Janice, you gotta come in and see the new crystals.
All right, and the prose she wrote was, when he first saw her, she was bathing along the river bank. Long, pale limbs, her skin the color of polished bone. Clever hands, loosed. The 9 tresses upon her head, leaving her hair to spill down her back. It was the black of a starless night with the glossy sheen of a raven's feather. She sang softly as she poured the water over her porcelain skin. The song was both somber and joyful, filled with all the pain and ecstasy that was life. Something was roused in him at the sight. He knew this woman, some called her death, others knew her as battle. But all he could see now was a painful, dangerous beauty that he longed to make his own. He didn't realize he had moved towards the bank until she was already in his arms. She looked.
Dad joined.
Hey Han, how are you?
Hi,
You're
Dad.
dead, right?
Hi,
My
Dad.
husband.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Dad.
Sorry.
That's all right. She looked up at him with
I
dark,
don't
raven
think
eyes that mirrored his own passion. He laughed to himself. Perhaps it seemed odd that the god of life and the goddess of death should make such passionate union together. But as the sun sank and the old year died, he happily died in the ecstasy of her love, knowing that with the dawn he would rise again, reborn. Morrigan may bring death, but Dagda knew her true gift was rebirth.
That's pretty cool.
Mhm.
I'll have to look and see if I can get her books.
Yeah, I forget the names of them. I know I checked them out on Amazon, but I can get the names for them.
Oh, well, I'll just Google in her and see if we can get them in.
Let's see what else we got here. Where was that? According to some Celtic lore, though, Morrigan and her sisters, they were quite prominent in a lot of Celtic celebrations. Like, for instance, on Beltane.
That's ironic because it's coming up.
Yeah, it is kind of cool.
Yeah. I think it's May 1st, but their host is Trisha Stan are having it on May 5th.
But that marks the day that the gods, or the Celtic ones, came to Ireland, also signifying when Morrigan began her war with the Fomorians. And they were, how were they described? They were like this weird kind of subterranean race that were just nasty. Almost, I think in some stories they were kind of described like demons to a certain extent. So some ancient druids would have celebrated her as the patroness of witches. And during Lunasa, some take time to honor Maxa as the goddess of sovereignty and fertile land. Samhain is sometimes associated with.
Nanny says hi.
Hey, Mom.
Samhain is sometimes associated with the battle against the Fomorians as well, in which Morrigan and Bai both drove them from Ireland. And even though they were both honored in that day, there are some who believe it's solely a Morrigan-centric day due to it being almost a celebration of life, death, and rebirth, and how she's pretty much associated with those herself. And I found out about this in my research, but I didn't take too much time to look into it. But I guess there's a feast they used to do around January 7th, early January. And it was a festival known as Feast of Morrigan. And they would, during the celebrations, they would drink mead and milk and whiskey and apples and a lot of red foods, because a lot of, like, her sacred colors are red and black. She also has alignments with certain stones like bloodstone, obsidian, and clear quartz. Let's see. And let's see. Although it would seem that she focuses a lot on like literal battle, I like to think, like, my personal take on it is, if you see life as a battle, she can give you, say, strength, guidance, challenges you, kind of tries to get you motivated, and she has the ability to lend you courage to either accept or change your fate.
I don't even think you need to think of life as a literal battle to embrace what she represents and stands for, because we all know life can be really challenging. You know what I mean? And we all know that it's try and be the best we can every day, so we're constantly challenging ourselves. And excuse me, sometimes you need that little extra boost knowing you're not alone.
Let's see. And like, since we can't necessarily shape shift, we could though embody like certain elements of, say, the animals that she would shape shift into. It's kind of like how, you know, certain warriors back then wear the pelts of different animals to become as ferocious as like a lion, or, you know, stuff like that. All right, now we're on to one of her sisters, Moxa. She herself had a lot of the same duties as Morgan, but instead of like heifers and crows and things, well, she would turn into crows as well, but she was more of a land orientated, so she'd turn into horses and stuff like that. And she was really connected to fertility, not just of a reproductive nature, but also land and crops and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a legend I thought was kind of cool. Well, not cool, but sort of interesting. Was that she went to a house of, I didn't write in the pronunciation of that, so I'm just going to wing it. Cruin, who was a farmer, and she circled on the flagstones outside his house 3 times before entering, and she had an affair with him. She did become pregnant, and whilst this farmer, I guess he was having a conversation pretty much bragging about Moxa to the king of Ulster, and one of the things he said was that she could outrun any horse. And the king demanded to see it, and he pretty much forced her to run whilst pregnant. So she did run faster than the horse, but one of the versions of the legend states that she did die after the race, being completely exhausted. She did give birth to twins, but in her dying pain and anger, she curses the entire male population of Ulster to 9 times 9 generations, that in their time of worst peril, they should suffer the pain of childbirth.
Ow.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the goddesses can be kind and forgiving, they can be loving and caring, and they can also be very vengeful.
It's all in how you treat them.
Yeah.
You treat them good, they treat you good. You treat them bad, and they lash back.
Yeah. I like the one about Bide.
Let's see. Where she was also a goddess of war, but she was also known as the goddess of life, inspiration, enlightenment, and wisdom. And she could transform, or she did take the form of bears, wolves, and heifers, and at times a giantess straddling a river. And during the second battle of Mag Tuired, which was battle in their war with the Fomorians. She and Morgan drove them out of Ireland.
I like strong women.
Very cool. And then that's all I got on the goddesses. Now we're going to get more into myths and legends. Did you want to take this one? Or?
Is that Finn McCool?
No, it's Ku Klux.
Okay. There's many versions of Ku Klux and his meeting with Morgan. The outcomes are all the same in them, though. And the one that we're going to talk about here is when she appears to him as a young maiden, saying she's heard of his deeds and wished to be with him. He did not care for having a romantic partner. This is the one I really like. He was very discourteous. She then revealed herself as a Morgan and stated that it was because of her he was able to accomplish as many deeds. He was rude and he blew off her claims. And then she said she would forgive him and grant him his favor in the upcoming battles. He threatened her and tried to attack her with a spear. So she shapeshifted into a raven, perched on a tree branch, and swore that for his insolence, she would set herself against him in any and all of his battles. Immediately after, he fought a warrior named Locke, and Morgan became the shape of a heifer, and during the fight, she kicked him. He swung at the heifer, so she shifted into the form of a snake and then tripped him up. And when he swung at the serpent, she became a wolf and bit into his sword arm. All the time, he was trying to fend off Locke, and he learned the hard way, you do not taunt Morgan. As a final insult, when he died, she took the form of a crow and stood atop of his corpse. Like I said, it can be vicious. Proper respect. And I think, in some ways, it's not such a bad thing. Everybody just wants respect.
Mm-hmm.
They just want to be acknowledged for who and what they are. You know what I mean?
And, like, the way I see it, considering how that she essentially covered his ass in, like, every battle that he's been in up to that point, he should be grateful.
Yeah.
You know?
It's also a lesson against arrogance. Don't be arrogant. You know, the way things are going can constantly change on you. And it goes to what I was saying about practicing gratitude. You know, you don't necessarily have to give gratitude to a god or goddess, but just practice gratitude by acknowledgement. You know, like if someone does something nice, thank them. You know, don't be too arrogant.
That's why I like this guy, Finn McCool. He's a lot better than Ku Klux. And one rule that the Fianna, or later they became known as the Fenians, one rule they had was never to be rude to a woman.
Jim wants to know, was the Wolverine a Celtic myth? And if yes, did he wear a kilt?
I don't know, Jim. You're going to have to ask Stanley about that one.
Jim thinks Ken's new look reminds him very much of Wolverine.
He's not wrong.
No, he's not.
That's sort of what I was going for.
He wants me to make you the
claws.
The claws, the blades, whatever.
Retractable bone claws.
Well, I don't work with bone. I work with metal and crystals. And metal.
But yeah, the Fianna had a rule never to be rude to a woman. And like when I read that, I kind of thought since Finn came after Ku Klux that maybe he learned a lesson.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And speaking of Finn McCool, his whole story is pretty cool. He's got a lot of myths and legends about his exploits. But he was the final and, in a lot of ways, the best leader of the Fianna. A lot of his...
Jim wants to know, what about Superman? Crystal said LOL.
I don't think Ken really looks like Superman.
No,
that's Matt.
I'll agree with the look back here. I'll definitely agree with the sideburns. There's a little bit of and the plaid shirts. There's a little bit of Wolverine there.
Mm-hmm.
Except he's a lot taller than you.
But a lot of early Finn McCool stories were some of the earliest Irish manuscripts and stories they had written and passed around. Apart from that, early on, it was just word of mouth.
Yeah.
So, Cool, Finn's father, was murdered by this guy named Gal McMorna. And his mother, to save Finn from being killed, because usually the custom would be to, if you're going to kill the father, you kill the son, so the son doesn't seek revenge, right?
Not only that, to kind of wipe out the line too.
His mother sent him to Bodball, which was a druidess and a fiashel. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but she was a female warrior who raised him secretly in the mountains. She taught him combat. She taught him how to survive off the land and a lot of other things that.
I was just about to say she taught him swords and stuff.
Yeah, pretty much. But when he became of a certain age, he left the seclusion of the mountains and returned to the communities of Ireland. For a time, he served kings, or a handful of kings. But when they found out who he was and what his lineage was, they often would cast him out or distance themselves from him.
He was a marked man.
Mm-hmm. He was sort of blackballed all over. Mainly, not necessarily because they were afraid of him, but they were afraid of the trouble that would follow him, because the McMorna clan, or the Morna clan, they were very infamous and very brutal. They
Kind of
were,
like Harry Potter. He got trouble with them, not because of him, but because of who hated him.
Also the fact that he's a Horcrux.
Yeah.
So Finn drifted all over Ire, as it was known then, until he found a home with an old poet who lived by the River Boyne. After 7 years with the poet, Finn had managed to uncover prophecies that were surrounding his life. One of them being that he consumed the salmon and knowledge from the River Boyne. Soon after, he amassed an army of roughly 150 of the bravest and most loyal Fianna, and he pretty much outright challenged the Morna clan, mainly to free the territory and also to avenge his father. Where was I there? Yeah. So after that, he pretty much became a hero, completing random quests, and he's defended Ireland for a long time against invaders, mostly say Saxons or Vikings and stuff like that. But one prophecy that he was worried about was when he would turn 230 that he would die. So during his 230th year, I forgot to write it down, but he tried to leave Ireland because he thought that would cancel out the prophecy. But a lot of the men in his army persuaded him to stay. So when he stayed, there was a member of Clan Morna named Furlai who challenged him in his army. So him and the remainder of Clan Morna met at a ford on the River Boyne, and for the entire day, there was just this big clash between the two forces. Him and his Fianna were outnumbered, so they were eventually overtaken. But as the legend goes, the Tuatha, or old gods, carried him and his army into their deep she mounds to sleep until Ireland needed him and his Fianna to save them again. I like to think that that is true to a certain extent, because the way I look at it is maybe him and his Fianna wasn't brought back in like a literal sense, like they were reawoken.
But the hope.
Because the Fianna, or the name Fianna, later became Finian, and then that became a part of Sinn Féin. And Michael Collins, I like to think, is sort of the second coming of Finn McCool, because he sort of gave a lot of the Irish people hope in a time when they were very, I guess you could say, depressed. And him and he had a lot of loyal members in the IRA and Sinn Féin.
The great thing about the legends, like Finn McCool never died.
Nanny said, what about Highlander?
We didn't look that one up, but we're going to talk about Myths and Legends again, so we'll cover that one month. But to get back to like Finn McCool never actually physically dying, it always gives hope and inspiration, and hope is what keeps you going. Like when things get really bad, you know, knowing you have a hero you can count on, knowing you have someone to inspire you can make you beat incredible odds.
Oh, yeah. I think it was Charles Darwin who said you can live a month without food, 8 days without water, but you cannot survive a day without hope.
Exactly. And I guess that sums up what I was trying to say.
All right, now on to banshees. And they're kind of cool.
They are.
And of course, they're like a really well-known figure in Irish legends.
And even here, you know, all my life I've heard tell of banshees. Like everybody talks about banshees. Wailing like a banshee.
I actually watched an episode of Haunted Canada, something like that. One of those shows he's watching. One of the legends they showed was actually the legend of a banshee. That was actually really cool. Well, one person's sighting of it.
Yeah.
And it was one of my favorite. It's actually my favorite episode.
Cool.
Creepy Canada, that's what it was.
Yeah, that's a great show.
Yeah, they don't have it on the Android box. I was upset. Anyway. So
Really?
back to the podcast. Yeah.
The boxes let us down.
I know.
That's sad.
They don't have Maritime Mysteries either.
Really?
Yeah. But anyway.
Alright. Did you want to take the...
If you want a break, I can. If not, it's cool listening. I really enjoyed reading it last night. But if you want a break, I can.
Alright.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Alright, and Banshee basically translates to fairy woman. And she's, there's a legend that says basically almost every Irish family has a banshee with them, like a guardian angel. But she can only sort of protect you to a certain degree, and she'll really only make herself known via wailing or whatever if she can't, say, protect you from certain things, or there are just things outside her realm that she can't control. She has been said to be dressed in a white hooded gown in the city of Donegal, which I think is close to Dublin. I could be wrong. She is said to dress in green, where in County Mayo, she is dressed in her iconic black robes and veil. There is a legend about a banshee, though, that if you see her washing a shroud, it is meant to symbolize a life-changing event is coming.
So she's also a seer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there was one episode of the show that I watched. It said that in some, like, cultures and stuff like that, whatever you want to call it, she's also, like, the announcer at death, something like that, to, like, the extent she can protect you. And she's not meant to, like, scare anybody, but just to, like, hey, watch
Prepare.
out. Yeah.
Ready.
But they say if you see her washing a shroud, you can later burn a beeswax candle after seeing her. And if the smoke burns in the shape of a shroud, it symbolizes death. And she's been linked to Morrigan because both wash the clothes of the dead in rivers. And some legends go even as far to say that Morrigan takes the form of a banshee or is herself the queen of banshees. Which, when you look at it, it's not all that far-fetched because she is at times known as the queen of fairies. And banshees are fairies.
And we even got a little fairy for display.
I was going to try to bring it closer. Couldn't see very well. This is our fairy. My fingers are in the way of her face. I'm sorry. There we go.
But
I just sit on the table.
She's going to be my friend.
I myself, I did or at least I think I did. I experienced a banshee wail. This would have been back when I was living in Thorburn. If anyone knows Thorburn, they know where the country market is. I was walking from there back to where I live, and I had my headphones in and I was listening to music. But like I heard this, it was a scream or a shriek that wasn't a normal part of the song. So I got kind of panicked about that because like I didn't just hear it, I just kind of felt it as well. And I mean, it was like right in my ear over the music. So like I took my headphones out. I took a walk in the woods around the area to see if like anyone was hurt or, and I just stopped and listened for a moment. I didn't hear it again. But the funny thing is, the next day, I was also, I should mention that I was a member of the Freemason Lodge out there. And the next day, my grandmother called me in the morning to say that a member of the lodge, who was a close family friend, he had been stricken with a really aggressive form of cancer. And he died like within the month.
Yeah. I believe in ghosts. When I was a baby, we lived in a haunted house in Little Pictou Landing. My parents know the story better than me, but I grew up with it all my life, knowing of it. But we were living in this big old Victorian-style house near the Gut Bridge, and my parents, it was a big house, so they were splitting on it with some friends, right? And they also had people over. And my dad heard these footsteps, so I thought maybe it was our friends trying to find their way around the house or whatever. So he went out, and there was no one there. But he kept hearing the footprints. And then when I was getting out of the room that his friends were staying in, like the guest friends, not the other ones that shared the house, he opened the door too because he heard the footsteps, thought maybe it was my dad. So my dad and another guy followed the footstep sound all the way down to the basement. So I believe in ghosts. So I believe in the banshee. I believe in premonitions. Obviously.
I'm a believer in that sort of stuff.
I read cards. I have to believe in premonitions.
That was a good movie.
I think the ending is the fairies. Did you want to do the fairies or?
Well, if you want to keep talking, I'm totally good with that. If you don't, I can do it. But if you want to keep talking, you go for it.
All right.
This is your baby. But if your throat's getting sore,
I
can actually be quiet,
The last thing I researched was fairies, or more specifically Celtic fairies, because a lot of areas had
different
fairies
types of
some
fairies,
sort, right? But Celtic fairies, they would either live in little tribes or communities, or like a lot of them, some would be hermits and just live on their own in the middle of nowhere. Those ones, the hermit ones that didn't dress, say, as vibrant or as daily as the ones that lived in the communities, they usually wore like fox skin or green moss or just a patchwork of leaves kind of thing. And the Celtic fairies often varied in size, with some being about 18 inches or smaller to being 4 feet tall, or some were even known to be as tall or taller than people. And in Ireland, the men of I remember I got it right the other day, Downshee, or trooping fairies, they wore green coats and red caps, whereas the females of that group would wear green gowns and red shoes. In a lot of Celtic lore, a fairy's favorite color is green, and it's because of that association with fairies that the Celts adopted the green, and later modern Irish.
Nanny would like to say all fiction begins with some facts. I don't know if that's a conversation with the superhero or that's
what?
Nanny. She said all fiction begins with some facts.
Yes.
That is true. But then that's like, since the Celts adopted it, that's where the modern Irish sort of took green as their symbol color. Where was I? Much like the Celts, the fairies lived and they had markets and fairs. Their favorite event in a lot of the fairs was the game hurling. I remember I played, well, I didn't play hurling, but I used a hurling stick, maybe not for the game purpose, but it's just it's almost kind of like a paddle. But they also sort of had their own inter-clan warfare, and there's this fella, J.G. Campbell, who was a researcher into a lot of folklore and stuff, and he believed that they had a lot of banquets. Well, the ones who lived in the communities and bands would have banquets where they would feast on the milk of red deer or goat, barley meal, bread, mushrooms, and honey. And fairies were known to have, were known to keep their real names secret from humans, and at time using what they called glamour spells to evade capture or notice. And in Ireland, those spells are called Pashog. There are many ways that say you could protect yourself from evil fairies. One good way is keeping cold iron nearby. It's been known to ward off fairies, and just keeping offerings of bread or carrying around salt or other well-known methods. To go further on the bread, I remember I heard a long time ago in Newfoundland or on Bell Island, a lot of the wooded areas around there, back, it would have been maybe a century or two ago, but if the mothers or parents were having their kids go out and get stuff, or just if they were happened to be playing near woods, their parents would give them bread to keep in their pockets, so when they're passing the woods, they could toss it into the woods as, say, an offering.
Cool.
Where was I?
Carrying around salt.
Yeah, carrying around salt. One herb evil fairies cannot stand is St. John's wort.
Hey. That's a good tea.
And fun fact, I was reading in a book the other day, a lot of Celtic warriors during the summer solstice would take St. John's wort and they would immerse it in the smoke of like a fire during the summer solstice, and then they would wear it in a battle that was believed to grant them invincibility.
Yeah.
However, if you want to win a favor, say good fairies, all you need to do is be honest, courteous, and perform acts of kindness. Good fairies, they expect people to be really good-hearted and pure. And when you win their favor, they will reward you with almost an endless stream of good luck. But the catch with that is that it only takes a few bad manners, like say being rude, hateful, or even just being like slovenly to fall out of favor. But one thing fairies sort of value highly above anything else is privacy. So if they ever catch you, say, spying on them or whatever, there's no second chance. You're done. That's pretty much all I got for researcher information.
I thought it was fantastic. You know that. I called you up last night. I'm like, I want more. I want to know more. So we are going to research more myths and legends and try and share more information, because I just love learning about this stuff. It just, I don't know, I just really enjoy learning about it. But I do know we're getting on to 8 o'clock.
Are we?
Yeah, it's 1:45. You timed that perfectly. So you picked the number tonight for the reading.
Mm-hmm.
And what number did you pick?
I picked 35.
So who, Kyle, is closest without going over?
Without going over. Helen McKenzie with 33.
Helen, you won again? That's cool. Oh my gosh. Let's see what they have to say.
Who won?
Helen.
Oh. Good job, Helen.
I got a little bit of a bigger surface. So, let's see. Ten of Cups. Two of Wands in reverse. We have the King of Cups. And we have the Two of Swords in reverse. So there's definitely good news here, Helen. The Ten of Wands, Cups indicates happiness, joy, love, and abundance. It's all those positive things, and that is definitely coming your way. So, just great situations, good feeling, just everything. Just the saying to me, one of the things I actually like from the Bible is the phrase, "My cup runneth over." So that's definitely what's going to be happening to you in the next near future. Your cup is going to be running over. The Two of Wands indicates a successful partnership, but in reverse, it indicates hang on to money. So balance your pennies right now. Be careful on your budget. Pay attention to that. If you're going to make any big purchases, make sure that you're not just doing it on inspiration or on the fly. Like, make sure it's something you really need right now. And try to avoid credit and going into debt right now. So the King of Cups, I think we both know who this is referring to. But it is a man is very comfortable in his own skin, very secure with his own emotions. He's very kind-hearted, thoughtful, generous. He's just all those wonderful things. He's definitely someone that you can talk to, someone to help you work through your issues and stuff like that. So the Two of Swords, my throat is getting really dry here, in reverse, it means a stalemate situation. If you're having a rift with someone, that can be on the verge of being mended. But it also means a settlement soon to occur. So something that's been up in the air, you're finally going to start seeing resolution with that. But in the meantime, definitely be careful with your money. Certainly avoid debt and make sure it's purchases you really need. Just try and put that bit of money away, because this card is definitely warning to put some money ahead. So that is your reading, and it's awesome for a settlement to soon to occur, a situation to resolve itself.
Ernie said, thanks, guys.
Oh, thank you for watching, Ernie. And we always love when people join in, and these are totally interactive. So if you have any questions or comments to make during that, we love to hear that. It kind of gives us a break to get a chance to rest our throats or have a little drink to keep the talk going. But I just want to thank everybody here and practice my gratitude for the fairies. I kind of try to do this anyway for my own reasons. But anyways, I just want to thank everybody for supporting all of our efforts with the shows, the community nights, the store, absolutely everything. And we're definitely growing by leaps and bounds, and we're seeing so much more foot traffic and more people finding out about it. So I just want to thank everybody for being so wonderful. So, as I said earlier, we are going to carpool for Beltane. If people need to drive, you're more than welcome to join us. I'll be putting that up on the store page too. But for me, I'm just going to say good night. Oh,
Janice, I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name. She said, this was so much fun to listen, and I learned lots. Ken and Carrie, thanks so much. I love your podcast.
Thank you, Janice. We love you too.
I love Janice. She's such a sweetheart.
I know, she is. We just love Janice. We love everybody.
Yeah, we're a very lovey group.
Yeah. So, but I'm just going to say, I wish you all love and light. Tune in tomorrow. We'll be on time with the podcast, the daily reading. Kind of got a bit swamped today when I noticed the time and everything was everywhere with the stop. So I just wish you all love and light and have a great night.
Say bye, Ken.
Bye.
Did you have something you wanted to say?
Bye, everybody.
No.
Oh, you look like you were deep.
Oh, yeah, it was another world.
It looked like he was gonna go by Ken.
But anyways, it was a great show. This was Ken's baby. He did all the research himself, and I think he found great information. And I think he's getting much more comfortable being in front of the camera. It gets easier. So I just wanted to tell you, great job.
Thank you.
All right, well,
Steve Martin says goodnight.
good night.
Thanks, Steve.
Good night, Steve. Bye, Steve.
So love and light. Bye.